Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve their goals effortlessly while others struggle? The secret might just lie in their daily habits. Welcome back to the Greatness Blueprint. I'm your host, Luke Austin, and today we're diving into a topic that's fundamental to personal development and success, and that is harnessing the power of habits. This episode is going to be a deep dive into the science of habits, how they shape our lives, and how we can use them to propel us towards our goals. But before we get started, I want to make something clear. This is not a get successful quick scheme. Forming new habits takes time and effort. You still have to put the work in. But understanding the power of habits can make the work more enjoyable and second nature. It's about making small, consistent changes that compound over time. So let's dive into episode 7 of the Greatness Blueprint. Let's go. Now, as we dive in today, we want to talk a little bit about the power of habits. And habits are small decisions and actions that we all perform every day, right? They shape our lives more than we realize. From our morning routines to how we work to how we relax in the evenings, our habits can either propel us towards our goals or hold us back and prevent us from reaching our true potential. For instance, consider the habit of regular exercise. It might seem like a small thing, just spending 30 minutes a day on physical activity. But over time, this habit can lead to significant improvements in your physical health, energy levels, and even your mood. On the other hand, consider a habit like spending an hour on social media first thing in the morning. I know we've all done it. I do it too. This habit, while it might seem harmless, it can eat away our productive time, distract us from our goals, and even impact our mental health over time. Now, I want you to take a moment to think about your own habits. Can you identify one habit that's been helping you move towards your goals? And is there maybe a habit that's holding you back? Reflecting on our habits is the first step towards understanding and harnessing their power. So, whether we realize it or not, our habits hold a lot of power over our lives. They can set us up for success or even steer us off course. And that's why it's so important to understand how habits work and how we can harness their power to improve our lives. And that's exactly why we're going to do this episode today. I'd love to hear about the habits you've identified. Feel free to share them directly with me or go on social media using the hashtag Greatness Blueprint. Your insights might just inspire someone else to make a positive change. Now, as we dive in today, I want to start with a personal story. And, to talk about this personal story, we have to go back a few years ago. And it was during the whole COVID lockdown. Everything was a little bit odd, right? We couldn't go to the gym necessarily, and everybody was worried about getting sick. And we were all working from home, spending too much time probably working, hard to disconnect from the work life. And for me, I deprioritized things like getting up early and working out and taking care of myself. And a few years ago, I kind of got to a point where, I said, I got to make a change. And so I picked up a book and it's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And at the time, my mornings were chaotic and stressful. I had this system down where I would hit snooze multiple times, enough to the point where I knew I'd be about 15, 20 minutes late to dropping off my daughter at school or going to work or logging on, but I could still get away with it. So I'd hit snooze multiple times. I'd rush to get ready for work. I'd get Logan up and ready for the day. And I was just stressed and frantic and I felt chaotic. And that's how I was starting every single day. And it just kind of bled into the rest of my day. I had no structure in the mornings, and it was really taking a toll on my productivity and my mental health. And so after reading The Miracle Morning, I was inspired to make a change. I started setting my alarm for 5 a.m. When my alarm got off, I would get up and I would brush my teeth kind of to get myself a little bit more awake in the morning. And then I would follow the Miracle Morning routine. And for those of you that haven't read the routine, it is silence in the form of meditation, affirmations, visualization, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of reading, and then a little bit of writing. So you're trying to get all of these different pieces of personal development and kind of put them in your morning to get you a baseline for the rest of the day. And it's not a lot, right? It's supposed to be an hour time where you spend 10 minutes on each of these different sections and kick off your day in the right way. Now, I won't lie to you, it was really tough for me at first. Waking up at 5 a.m. was a big shift from hitting snooze from 7 till 8:30, right? It was a huge change. And I didn't succeed every day. In the first month, there were days when I'd hit snooze and I didn't get up. But I didn't let those failures discourage me, and instead I used them to motivate myself to try again the next day. And despite these initial challenges, I stuck with it. And over time, it became easier and easier. And I started to look forward to my mornings. They gave me a sense of peace, focus, and I just hadn't experienced that before. While the specific routine of the miracle morning, with all those 6 different steps, didn't stick forever, the habit of waking up early, dedicating time to my own personal development, that did. It was a small change, but it had a big impact. I was less stressed in the morning, more focused throughout the day, and I had more energy as I went through my different day to day tasks. I learned new ideas, gained different perspectives, and was even able to propel myself in my career at work. Now, when I started this routine back in 2021, I was a bit out of shape, right? For me, I was 18% body fat, which is a fair amount for me. And, over the last 2 years, it's kind of the long game, in my opinion. This structure has allowed me to go from 18% body fat, continuing to work towards my goals. And today I sit at 13.5% body fat, getting closer and closer to where I really want to be. This experience taught me the power of habits. It showed me that small, consistent changes can lead to significant improvements in our lives. It also taught me that it's okay to fail sometimes. What's important is that we don't let these failures stop us from trying again. And that's what I want to share with you in this episode. I want to help you understand the power of habits and how you can harness them to improve your life. Next, I want to talk about the science of habits. And habits are not just routines, they are neurological loops consisting of a cue, a routine, and a reward. And understanding this loop is a key to forming new habits or even changing existing ones. The science behind habits is really fascinating, right? Habits are formed through this process called neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is the ability for your brain to change and adapt over time. And when we repeat behavior over and over again, the neural pathways associated with that behavior become stronger and stronger. And therefore, it becomes easier for us to do that behavior in the future. And eventually, it becomes almost automatic. So let's break down 3 key steps involved in habit formation. I mentioned these earlier, but you start with a cue. And the cue is a trigger that tells your brain to start the habit. So, for example, the cue for brushing your teeth might be waking up and seeing your toothbrush in the toothbrush holder in the morning. Next is the routine. And the routine is the actual behavior that you want to form. In this case, you want to brush your teeth. And the routine would be to brush your teeth for 2 minutes. Finally is the reward, right? The reward is the feeling of satisfaction that you got from completing the routine. And that is really what reinforces the habit and makes it more likely that you'll do that thing again in the future. Now, you might be wondering, how long does it take to form a habit? There's different studies out there, but on average, it takes about 66 days to form a new habit, which is not a short time. However, this can vary depending on the individual and the habit that you're looking to build itself. So some habits may take longer and some may take less time. There are a few factors that can affect how long it takes to form a habit. And they include, first, the difficulty of the habit, right? Some habits are more difficult to form than others. For example, it may take you longer to form a habit of exercising regularly than it would for you to brush your teeth twice a day. The next is a person's motivation, right? People who are more motivated to change are more likely to be successful in forming new habits. Third is the environment, right? The environment is going to play a key role in how long it takes to form a habit. So, for example, if you have a lot of distractions at home or in your workplace, wherever you're trying to form that habit, it may be more difficult to help form that one. So, how can we use these different pieces of knowledge to form new habits? So, here are a few key tips. One, make it easy. The easier you make it to do the habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. So, for example, if you want to start exercising, right, put your workout clothes out the night before. And when you wake up, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to find your shorts or your shirt. It's just right there for you, and you can go and work out. Be consistent. The more consistent you are with a habit, the stronger it will become. Try to do the habit at the same time in the same place every day. Finally, reward yourself. When you complete a habit, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a reward. This will help you associate that habit with positive feelings, and will make you much more likely to do that again in the future. Now, next, I want to talk a little bit about expert opinions on building habits. And many different experts have studied the power of habits. But today, I want to focus on one particular author, and his name is James Clear. And he is an author who wrote the book Atomic Habits. And in that book, it provides really a simple and effective framework for building good habits and breaking some bad ones. Here are some of the key takeaways from that book. One, habits are like compound interest of self improvement, right? These small changes that you make today continue to build on themselves, compound over time to create significant results in the long term. Second, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you really fall down to the level of your systems, right? Focus on creating a system that helps you achieve your goals rather than trying to bounce around from goal to goal or setting lofty goals that you're just unlikely to achieve because you don't have structure in place. Next, make it easy to do that habit, right? The easier you are able to do the habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. And finally, be consistent with that habit. Consistency is the key to long-term success. And to really drive these points home, I want to share a couple of impactful quotes from this book, Atomic Habits. The first one, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same way that money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. And the second, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. These quotes highlight the power of habits in shaping our lives and our identities. And if you're looking to improve yourself, I highly recommend reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Next, I want to look at a couple case studies. And these are real life examples of how harnessing the power of habits has led to success for some incredibly famous people. So we're going to explore how habits have played a role in building these two individuals into the fame that they have achieved. Our first case study is about a man some of you likely know, and some of you might not necessarily know, might be a little bit earlier than your time. I know he's kind of right on the border for me, but his name is Jerry Seinfeld. And he's often just called Seinfeld due to his long career as a lead character in the TV comedy Seinfeld. So before he became famous on TV and earlier on in his career, he was a comedian. And Seinfeld realized that to become a better comedian, he needed to write jokes every single day. And he just wanted to write one single good joke every day. So to motivate himself, he used a large wall calendar, right, that had the whole year on one page and hung it up on a large wall in his house. And every day he'd write and put together these jokes. And once he did that, he'd put a big X over that day. And after a few days, he saw a chain of X's. His only job was to not break the chain. This simple habit of daily writing and helping visualize that chain of X's helped Seinfeld stay consistent, improve his craft as a comedian, and led him to immense success. Our second case study today is about one of the most prolific inventors in history, and that's Thomas Edison. And Edison had a habit of relentless persistence. And it's been noted that he famously tested over 10,000 different materials before he was able to find the perfect one for the filament in the electric light bulb. 10,000 different materials. This habit of persistence and experimentation led him to create over 1,000 patents in his lifetime. And this is just a true story of consistency and habits and driving success, and how even pushing through some of that failure 10,000 times before he found the perfect filament is just an incredible story, right? How daunting does that sound? Have we done anything in our lives 10,000 times before we found the perfect ending? Many of us haven't. I know I haven't. But continuing to find ways to build habits, be consistent, and be persistent allows for success. So these case studies illustrate how the power of consistent habits, whether it's writing jokes every day or testing new ideas, can lead to significant success over time. It's not about the magnitude of your effort, but the consistency of your actions that leads to meaningful results. Next, I want to talk about strategies for harnessing the power of habits. Now, here are some strategies inspired by some of the insights we've discussed throughout the topic today. First, start small. As we learned from James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small changes today can lead to significant results over time. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight, right? I didn't go from 18% body fat to 13.5% overnight. It took me 3 years. Start small with manageable changes and you'll make a difference, right? So, for example, if you want to start reading more, start by reading 10 minutes a day. Be consistent, right? Consistency is key when it comes to habits. Make sure to perform your new habit every day, even if you don't feel like it. And as we saw in the case of Jerry Seinfeld, a simple daily habit of writing jokes led to his immense success. Make it easy. The easier you make it to do the habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. So, for example, if you want to start exercising, put your workout clothes out the night before so you don't have to think about it in the morning. Next, reward yourself. When you complete a habit, give yourself a small reward. This is going to help you associate the habit with positive feelings, which will make you much more likely to do it again in the future. Next, track your progress. As James Clear suggests, tracking your progress can help you stay motivated and on track. Consider using a habit tracker, a calendar like Jerry Seinfeld, to find each day and find successes that are pushing you towards these new habits. Next, celebrate your wins. Recognize and celebrate your progress, no matter how small. This can help you to keep going and make your new habit stick. Remember, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Now, we've explored various strategies to harness the power of habits. We've learned the importance of starting small, being consistent, making it easy, rewarding ourselves when we have success, tracking our progress, and celebrating our wins. These strategies, inspired by the insights of James Clear, can help us form new habits and make them stick. Remember, forming new habits is not a get successful quick scheme. It requires time, effort, and patience. But by understanding the power of habits and using these strategies, we can have the process be more enjoyable to the point where it becomes second nature. Now I want to move to our call to action. I want you to take a moment and think about one small habit you can start implementing today that will help you move closer to your goals. Remember, it doesn't have to be a big change. It could be as simple as reading for 10 minutes a day, going for a short walk in the evening, or even just making your bed in the morning. Once you've identified your new habit, I want you to commit to it. Write it down, set a reminder on your phone, or tell a friend about it to help hold you accountable. I'm going to do the same. But don't stop there. I want you to share your new habit with our community. Post it on social media with the hashtag greatnessblueprint, or send me an email at luke@greatness-blueprint.com. I'd love to hear what you're doing with your new habit. And who knows? Your habit might inspire someone else to start a similar one. In a future episode, we'll be sharing some of the stories from the community to ensure we all continue to learn and grow together. Remember, the power of habits comes from their consistency, not their complexity. So let's take the first step together towards harnessing the power of habits. I can't wait to hear about the habits you're starting. And that, my friends, wraps up our deep dive into the power of habits. Remember, the smallest habits, when performed consistently, can lead to the biggest transformations. It's not about making these massive changes overnight, but about making small, consistent changes that compound over time. We have some great episodes coming for you in the next few weeks. I'm in the process of figuring out logistically how to add guests into the podcast and looking forward to that dynamic. So please stay tuned as we continue to push out weekly value to you. Before we part ways today, I want to leave you with this thought. Every day is a new opportunity to make a small change, to take one step closer to your greatness. So don't wait for tomorrow, start today. And as The Rock put it, one day or day one. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to connecting with you next time on the Greatness Blueprint. Until then, remember to stay on your path, stay inspired, and above all, stay great. We'll see you soon.